Today is a good day for us to pause. It begins the second Mercury Retrograde energy time for this year. Mercury Retrograde happens 3 or 4 times a year and gives us planetary energy to look at our communication, our travel, our technology, and review it, revisit it, rewind, because Mercury goes backwards. Mercury governs those things, and it gives us a second chance to look at where we've been and what we want to do. And this time it's in Gemini, so it's going to be about the storyteller. So refreshing the stories we've been telling ourselves, especially the stories we've been telling ourselves about others, as the moon sat right on this and helps us to look at it. And moon helps us to look at our emotional relationships. This current Mercury retrograde is May 18th to June 11th. And so for some of you, you will have been picking up this energy since the May 4th, the first week of May. Usually 2 weeks before and 2 weeks afterwards, the energy is moving into this sign, because then when we do retrograde, we go backwards over the energy again. So you get a 3-point hit. You go forward, go back, and then go forward again. And some of us pick up energy beforehand. In other words, we intuitively know the unconscious or the shadow of this particular energy. And how I look at it is energy is the way for us to see or say or feel or move through something. It gives us an ability to have a perspective that we may not have had. This time, Mercury is in Gemini. So we find ourselves tracking the stories that served us, as Gemini is a storyteller. And we may or may have already been beginning to see there are some old stories we tell ourselves that don't work. So what you want to do when you track those thoughts, such as he always does it that way, or she always tells me what to do, or I always get it wrong, or I always think someone doesn't care, etc. We have lots of inner and outer stories, things that we tell ourselves about others and things we tell ourselves about ourselves. Those get a chance to be reviewed, revisited, retreat from them into yourself to look at them. And during this time, I love Mercury retrograde because it gives us an ability to slow down. I was aware of course, the experience of springtime here in the Northwest, where the winds tend to come up suddenly or fast, and I noticed this time that with the winds there was this movement to release the dead leaves off the trees. And I had wondered how the buds get through all the dead leaves. And now I see that this wind sort of shifts and creates a place for the new buds. Even though at the time of the wind I was feeling buffeted by, and have been feeling, it kind of helped me see, the winds of change have been going on since 2012. And everything's unpredictable. We're surprised at this movement, or things that I never thought would change or I would have to look at have had to happen. And so because the change agent Uranus has been doing all of this and asking us to expand, this Mercury retrograde really helps us, because Mercury retrograde is about embracing change, as Demetrius Bagley said. Since 2012, Pluto's also been working with Uranus, and it's been allowing us to rearrange our lives. We keep wondering how we got there. Mercury retrograde says stop, slow down. But mostly ask, stop questioning yourself and leave your self-doubt behind. Instead, when you're revisiting old stories these next weeks, ask, how am I different? What feelings are new? They are old feelings, but is there anything new that's coming in with it that wasn't there before? Is your response time quicker than your reaction? or there's a reaction but a quicker responding to after that. Letting go of something sooner. Example, when you get into a traffic snafu, which you will often and should plan for in Mercury retrograde, getting upset, or I will use the image that comes from my husband when he says that, like when somebody does something in traffic, he wants to put up his fist, and he said what he realized that is if he opens his hand, it's really hard to be angry. So I watch him have his hands fisted on the steering wheel, and then he opens up his hand as he's, working with the traffic snafu. These are good stories for us to remember. There's good stories for us to pay attention to as we move through Mercury retrograde, because traffic will be snafu'd, our computers or technology. We will also be affected by any kind of travel, so always give yourself extra time, because things go slower, but actually if we give ourselves time and we move with it, often we'll get there faster and we won't be late. And if we're late, no judgment, no shame, no blame. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm here. In this Mercury retrograde, we're asked to not think, but to feel. As Gemini allows us other options to think about, to open ourselves to. So take a breath and stay open. And whether the other person's truth or life's truth is different than your truth, look for the balance of options. Because communication is governed by Mercury, our ability to communicate our deepest feelings and thoughts will slow down. So be sure to recheck in if the other person has heard what you said. Be sure to say, so I have a 10 o'clock. I need to check to make sure, is 10 o'clock my time? Reaffirm your appointments. Also know that any appointments you make during Mercury retrograde can get snafu'd, so pay attention to those for after Mercury retrograde. Don't fight the winds blowing your thoughts and feelings and lives around. Rather, trust them. Trust the experience. And ask this question: what does this story or experience have to teach me? Our planets give us energy. What we do with it is within our own power and only our power. So again, astrologically, I believe that there's energy available, and the planets don't predestine us. So Mercury retrograde doesn't cause, in many ways, it opens the energy to slow down in traffic, to watch our communication more cleanly or clearly, or check it up, review it, revisit it. So our planets give us energy, and what we do with it is within our own power. Are you empowered to make changes that serve you, to be your best self here and now? What are you gaining by letting go? So don't just feel the death of letting go. Notice and say and name, and this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm receiving. Don't rush. Rather, like turtle, go slow and win the race. Or like owl who waits on the branch of its tree, resting and refreshing, yet keeping its awareness awake, ready to move with ease and grace when the timing is right for nurturing. Trust the timing of this Mercury retrograde. Slow down to sort through the many changes. Make sense of all the changes, both internally and externally. The timeline of this Mercury retrograde is May 4th began the process, because that's when Mercury in Gemini was entered the place where it will go back to as it reviews. May 18th, today, it begins the review of what's been going on since May 4th, and it will go till June 11th, so it'll be directly here, beginning, and then on June 11th you can begin to apply new solutions based on the new options you found that provide you with a clear direction. So this next 3 weeks, by reviewing, retreating, working from the inside out, you'll be able to have clearer options than you know you have, and they will be stronger. So on June 11th, you can move out of this time, and by June 27th, you'll have a much better viewpoint as the winds of change have moved through. So as you move through this Mercury retrograde, we ask all of us to be aware. When this storm sets in, keep your feet on the ground and ride the wave perfectly. And when you fall or when you hit up against the barrier, allow yourself to trust that you're learning something. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, like I see my grandson do, where he picks himself up and then he starts running again, and he just lets go of the fact that he tripped and fell. This is really a period of soul searching and one of reflection, one of accepting what is and releasing what isn't. So you might use the words during this time, which are let it go. You might begin to repeat this as a mantra and remind that all is not what it seems. So what better thing can I do for myself or for everything around me than to let it go, let it go, let it go. So you'll be able to go forward after this time of review. So blessings on your Mercury retrograde.